Hello, Fermented Folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am. Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show me heartburn. I was like, I loves it. I hate it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry.
this is it right here.
Hello, Fermented Folks. It's us, your regular hosts. Jeremy, Travis, Colin. Clayton's going to be joining us later. We might have a surprise visit from Zeb. We don't know. We're kind of going off the cuff today, and that's going to be fun. Hopefully there's some of you around to join us, because we're calling an audible on what our regular scheduled episode was going to be. You don't get to know that because it's coming in the future. And we're doing Iron Man 1, the thing that started it all. Some would argue, Blade was the first Marvel movie and there was Spider-Man. But Iron Man 1 is when Jon Favreau took the reins, when Marvel as we know it became the MCU. This was the first movie to kick off the big conglomeration of all the stories that we know and love today. Or maybe we hate them. We'll see. Jeremy and I are going to be debating it. Colin's going to be running the timer and probably just causing all kinds of chaos. But before we do that, we're going to have some life updates as we always do. So, Colin, it's been a while since you made the show. So how about you kick us off? What's been going on in the life of a new dad?
Hello. This new dad is now fully employed as a night shift healthcare worker, taking x-rays.
Hell yeah.
Pretty wild. Night shift is great. Everyone is awesome. The only downside is, the time of day. But the commute's easy and everything else is pretty great, honestly. And changing my clock around has not been horrible. I have definitely felt worse traveling to Europe a couple times and being completely jet lagged and trying to go look at some cathedral when it's been, 30 hours of wakefulness. So yeah. The secret is blackout curtains, naps, face masks, and earplugs.
I've always been curious about the night, like Vegas workers and stuff and night shift workers, which my wife and I usually stay up pretty late because she works at a restaurant, but she's done by 11. But yeah, I've just always been curious about night shift workers because I've read things that if you don't live by the sun, you actually can get affected by it. But I don't know if that's true, or as the kids say, cap. You're feeling like it's cap.
For God's sake, Travis, you have to stop.
I can't. This is what this episode's for. This is chaos today, Jeremy. Speaking of, what's going on in your life, man?
Well, it's... Yeah, and I think this is something that Colin will appreciate. This is what my new ankle looks like. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All this good stuff.
So that's a AP and a lateral on a C-arm. Just saying. I've taken those before.
See, there you go.
That's quality work, too.
Yeah, they did great. That's great.
Presumably that was in the OR, too.
Is there not quality work for x-rays? Is there, can you see an x-ray image and be like, that's shit?
Yeah. Oh, dude, there was some, I can't remember. What was that? Bones. I think on the show Bones, I started it and didn't really get very far recently.
Well, sure.
And in the
Bones
first
is goddamn ridiculous.
In the first episode, they had some x-ray for something. And I was like, there's no way an x-ray would look like that on a cadaver, number one. Number two, those two x-rays that are on the other side, you would never use. They're for a different part of the body than what they're talking about. And they're not the right angles.
Nice.
For sure.
Well, your foot looks different now. It has metal in it. Is that metal?
Yeah.
You put in it?
Yes.
Titanium, I presume.
Presumably titanium. That makes the most sense for a medical implant. What's up?
Do you have to baby it for a while before you can go full, running marathons and
full
stuff?
Throttle?
I am on I'm on crutches, or in my case, my hands-free crutch for the next 4 weeks. And then, 8 to 12 weeks of physical therapy. And then I'll be still me. So probably no marathons, but
not running marathons, but the ability to do
Potential
so
is
will
there.
be closer. The potential is there. I mean, the potential is technically there right now, but it probably wouldn't be a good idea.
no. Terrible.
I have definitely been in the OR when they're doing that operation, and I won't tell you all the details, but suffice it to say that at one point one of the surgeons was like getting in there, and they were, they have to put the screws into something that holds the screws, and they don't want to put it in cartilage and stuff, and so they were pulling out stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, we just want to get that junk out of there."
Yeah, just get it out of there. You don't even need it.
Just junk. Just getting the junk out of the ankle,
Why not?
Throw it out. You don't want that.
scooping it out.
Yeah. Well, I have been very recently getting into cooking a lot. I've found a love for it because it's kind of fun to like learn all the subtle ways you can really mess up food and also do it well. And Jeremy and I were talking before the show about how really it's like salt, pepper, butter, and timing and technique. And like I didn't know about the last two, so I've been messing with dishes for way too long. Anyway, all that to say, I tried duck confit recently and I pulled it off. I had some today over potatoes and it was delightful. And I will be making it in the future, but it takes some time. So it's not like going to be a regular dinner. Also, duck's not cheap. But yeah, that's my update. Is I've been really testing my culinary skills in my tiny little apartment kitchen as best I can.
Hell yeah.
Which I know I won't ever be as good as Jeremy and Clay, but
I mean,
maybe.
Tony Stark did a lot in a cave. So.
He did a lot in a cave.
So much. We just need to put you in a cave with a
box of scraps.
Garbage ingredients, scraps, if you will. And you'll get there, man.
I'll turn a trash can lid into a 5 Michelin stars. Probably not, but
No.
I like to dream. A fellow likes to dream. Today, though, we're talking about a dream that Tony Stark had to maybe, I don't know, not be an asshole and also stop selling military equipment and make himself a good old Iron Man suit and get free of imprisonment. I think that about sums up Iron Man, except that Jeff Bridges is there too, and he's also
He is there.
yeah. Yeah, other than what I already said, that this kicks off the MCU. So I think it'll be a good touch point to talk about a series that I have trashed on far too much, probably, because I might surprise some of you with some of my opinions about the MCU that we'll talk about later, or won't I? Because I'm one of the debaters. So, Jeremy, do you got your dice ready?
I've always got it ready.
Let's do this thing.
Red and gold. Because we need that.
Oh, a timer. All right.
Oh, fuck. I did bad.
It's a disturbing smile from the Jeremy corner.
How'd you do, Travis?
I got a 2.
I got 10 times that.
Nice. You got a nat 20?
Nat 20, baby. Let's go.
Iron Man. I shouldn't have used my purple dice, man. I was rolling great last night in a D&D game with the other purple dice.
See?
I screwed up.
I'll teach you.
All right. Well, Colin, do you got our timer for us?
10-minute timer. And this is going to be no rules except for the obvious rules.
That it lasts 10 minutes?
That it lasts 10 minutes and that I'm in charge.
Yes.
So the way our forced enrollment works is that our low roll will be against and our high roll will be for. regardless of what they really think, they are going to choose sides, stick with those sides, and that is it for the next 10 minutes. And there is no swapsies, no give backs, no do-overs. And we will start with one and then the other when the other is finished, and we're going to go full 10 minutes. Are we ready to go?
Yep.
I was
All right,
maybe
we're
born
gonna-
ready to go.
We're going to start with the pro in favor. So we got the Jeremy Baramy Hudson in 3, in 2, in 1. Here we go.
All right. So, Iron Man, the original. It's, this is just one of those movies that it's always a joy to go back to and watch and just get a little bit of everything. It's like, now there were movies that came before that kind of been like, oh, hey, superhero movies, those are kind of cool, right? But this one was the one that was like a phenomenon.
Mhm.
Like it reinvented the character of Tony Stark in a way that like people wanted to see, and like clearly they did, because this movie, while not like as big a success as other Marvel movies that came later, it was the beginning of a phenomenon, and it was driven by like really still very good looking practical and practical as well as CG effects, and fantastic performances throughout, from just an all-star cast, with Robert Downey Jr. being brought back from the brink of being blacklisted, and then Jeff Bridges just having an absolute blasty, being an asshole, and Gwyneth Paltrow just being Gwyneth Paltrow, and just the chemistry between all the different actors, especially since for every scene they're all just kind of riffing. I think Jeff Bridges famously said about shooting this movie, like, we've got no script, man. And it kind of shows in the sense that, like, from scene to scene, all the dialogue feels like very like natural and not scripted, but in a way that like furthers the plot. And you only get that with like top tier improvisers. And then of course it's time to shoot and eat the elephant in the room, which is the Iron Man suit, which looks fantastic. It is fantastic. It's cool. It's fun. And you get all these cool bits of Tony Stark like designing and building and improving all of his stuff, which he continues to do in later movies, but it's never quite the same as when he does it here. And yeah, just an absolute blasty of a film, beginning to end.
I will say, I can't lie and say I didn't have a blast with this movie when it first came out, but looking back on it and rewatching it a few times, I now see like the writing on the wall of what was to come from the MCU. And I want to hone in first on the villain problem, okay? Because I've actually heard this referred to before as the Iron Man problem, which is that the villain is just the hero, but evil. Like there's no real depth to Jeff Bridges' villain character other than he's just Tony Stark who doesn't have a growth arc and builds a bigger suit. And somehow that's we just get away with that poor writing of like, your villain isn't actually his own character. He's just the hero, but dark and with a bigger like body and suit. It's kind of the like Nega Link thing from Zelda. And here's why I think this is a problem. This movie came out in 2008, right? So I've heard people refer to, well, that's just a superhero problem. We had two prime examples of how not to do that way earlier than 2008. Blade 2 in 2002, which we've talked about on this show, has an amazing villain. Like it's got the I'm going to forget names, but it's got the Lord of the Vampires and then his son, who's been infected with this like virus that turns him into a completely different monster. He's nothing like Blade. He's like a totally different creature. That's this like rampaging monster who also just kind of wants to screw with his dad. And then even his dad, still a vampire, but nothing like Blade. He has none of the same motivations for what he's doing. He wants to keep power. He wants the vampires to be like all powerful, and he wants to evolve the species. Blade is completely not like that. And so I think there's one example. 2004, we had Spider-Man 2. And who's the villain in Spider-Man 2? Doc Ock. Doc Ock is so different than Spider-Man. And Doc Ock is one of the greatest villains I've ever seen in a superhero film. Like the ending with him sacrificing himself to destroy the thing that he accidentally made is so powerful. And so Iron Man had a lot of potential for standing on the shoulders of giants and doing something similar and better. And yet it just was like, yeah, we'll just make Iron Man bigger and evil. And then in the second film, they try and go a little creative with the whip guy. But again, they just bring out the army of Iron Mans. Oh, we did it again. We just made Iron Man, a lot of them, and scary. Iron Man 3 is the first time they try anything creative with their villain arcs, and people hated it. So yeah, I saw the writing on the wall with the MCU having a big villain problem as soon as Jon Favreau was so lazy he couldn't think of an actual compelling antagonist.
Now, see, the mistake you're making here is assuming that Jeff Bridges, Obadiah Stane, is the overall antagonist, where the through line of this movie and of, Iron Man 2, and it's even explicitly said in Iron Man 3 that, Tony creates his villains. He is set up as both protagonist and, of course, the cause of every single problem that he's going through. So the villain, the bad guy doing villainous stuff, isn't even really the point of the story. It's Tony struggling to be a better person once he has that, oh, right, there are people out here that aren't me. And it turns out, like, military weapons is kind of a shady industry to make all your money from. Who knew? But, and if you get to the point of, Spider-Man 2, where Doc Ock is basically just like, oh, Peter, if he grew up and was well-adjusted and stuff, but then the Spider-Man problem happens, which is just that science is for dickheads, and it messes you up every single time. Sure, we can say that Spider-Man isn't plagued by the issue of the same type of thing. I think the issue with villains, especially when you get to, say, movies where the villain isn't the point, then yeah, the issue is that the villain isn't the point. It's about Tony and his self-improvement, and that's why all of his villains are some aspect of a dark reflection of himself. And I think it works really well in this movie because, it illustrates a point that they hit on in the Avengers of oh yeah, take off the suit and what are you? He's a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist. If you have a suit, you're still not all of those things, which, Jeff Bridges proves by the end of this movie.
Yeah, but I think your point kind of defeats itself. Of you can't both say the villain is not the point, but then also say the villain has to be a compelling dark reflection of the protagonist. I'm saying I don't think they did either of those things well. Obadiah is so flat. He has things that come out of nowhere, like his little sound evil machine that somehow paralyzes people. I think we see it twice. And then all of a sudden it's the main thing that gets him the ability to get to his suit and get it powered up and steal Tony Stark's heart. Sorry, not his heart, but his power source that's basically his heart. And to your other point, it would work better if Tony really changed much in this first movie. I think people take for granted that there's so many sequels, but when they made Iron Man, they did not know they'd be greenlit for an entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so it should have really wrapped up a lot more efficiently. This arc that Tony has of growth into a man who's going to actually stop being so egocentric and such a dickhead. And yet the last shot we get is him just like, yeah, I'm Iron Man with my cheeseburger. And everybody look at me because I'm the best.
Well, first of all,
that's
not
First of all,
at
the
all-
cheeseburger-
It is time. There is no more. It is officially beer o'clock.
Beer o'clock.
There we go.
Tonight, I bring you Stoop Northwest Red Ale, representing the local stuff.
Nice.
If you're in Seattle, you should go to Stoop. It's also going to be very busy. It's a popular place, but there are multiple locations.
Hell yeah.
What else we got? Travis, do you have a drink
Well,
tonight?
Yeah, Travis,
do.
what you got?
I have one that my wife might be a little upset I'm drinking because it's kind of gotten more rare because they're not selling it in a lot of places for some reason. But it's so good. It's Dry Hills, but it's the bottled and bonded whiskey, and their bonded wheat
Mhm.
whiskey is incredibly good. And I don't know why it's not as common in the valley right now. Something must have happened with the distiller.
I saw
But-
some of that yesterday.
Yeah, really good stuff. Highly recommend it. And I'm usually a bourbon guy, but this is a really good wheat, bonded wheat.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeremy Barry Hudson.
Well, hey, so I was very prepared to talk about something else. So what I have here is I have this grocery store clearance blackberry margarita mix in a decanter bottle mixed with George Clooney's tequila. The Clunquila, if you will. Casamigos, if you want to be official about it. It tastes like cough syrup.
Is it bad that I wouldn't enjoy that? That's a weird fact about me, people. I actually kind of like the taste of cough syrup.
You know, I was a fan as a kid of Dimetap and its grape flavor.
Like when
And
people
I'm
get
pretty sure they stopped making it because it's horrible for you.
like the Dayquil, I always am like, can we get the liquid form? Because I don't know, something about it. I'm just like, it's a good shot. I'm not taking it like, all the time. I hope people know that. Like only when I'm sick, but I kind of like it. Like the
Jeremy,
taste.
why is it in a decanter?
It just came that way. This was on clearance at Safeway. And I was like, hey,
Is it
what's
plastic?
that? Because I was riding around in a mobility scooter. And so I had my wife was right there. It was on clearance in the checkout line.
I think that's a pretty
it
great
was-
story in itself.
Yeah.
You in a mobility scooter in line with a decanter. What is it? Blackberry margarita mix?
Blackberry margarita mix, add your own tequila, and then just when you're done, dump it out. And I have a decanter bottle.
There you
Wonderful.
That is the
Man,
best.
I'm gonna be so fancy.
go. We've been doing facts, but it's a weird episode with just us. Do we want to just go in rounds? I have a few, but I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure
go for it.
everyone's got maybe a couple. I Am Iron Man was ad-libbed, which to Jeremy's point about the debate, the ad-lib, like a lot of the script was ad-libbed, but that final line was, and then approved later for the final cut. And Kevin Feige made a statement that he largely approved of it because his MCU would kind of not really have many secret identities. Like Thor doesn't use his secret identity. Captain America is just straight up known as Captain America. Everyone knows his face, Steve Rogers. The only one who hides his identity mostly in the MCU is Spider-Man. So he was like, yeah, that's not that big of a deal. just we'll run with it. And I think it worked, which is a spoiler to my actual opinion of this movie. I love this one. Just before the final press conference, Tony is reading a newspaper with a grainy amateur photograph of Iron Man on the cover. The picture is actually part of a video that was shot by like onlookers hiding in a bush during filming that appeared on the internet. So it was like a spoiler video that a bunch of fans filmed the set of, and they just used that in the final cut of the movie for the picture on the newspaper. So I thought that's pretty fun. This was still around the time that Stan Lee was making cameo appearances in every movie. Rest in peace, Stan Lee. And in this one, it's quite funny. He's playing Hugh Hefner. So probably one of his funniest cameos. I love the fact that the score, Ramin Djawadi, when he composed the film's soundtrack, was assisted by Tom Morello, who some consider to be one of the greatest guitarists of all time. I am one of them. Yeah, that's the ones that jumped out at me. Anyone got any others that they are dying to talk about?
Yeah. Well, we have mentioned the box of scraps a handful of times. But when Jeff Bridges is yelling about how Tony Stark was able to build his arc reactor in a cave with a box of scraps, he's yelling at the kid from A Christmas Story, all grown up and doing science.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really fun. There's also a really fun one, like when Tony gets back from being imprisoned in the Middle East, he asks for a cheeseburger, and that's apparently a reference to how he ate a cheeseburger how he, Robert Downey Jr., when he was horribly addicted to drugs, ate a cheeseburger that was so gross it made him want to turn his whole life around. So I think it was very fitting that he went to Burger King for that.
Yeah, I will, we want future sponsorships, but I'll join you in trashing Burger King.
Yeah. Hey, Burger
I'm convinced.
King, sponsor us anyway.
Quite convinced it is it's a mafia thing. Like it's a money.
It's a big mafia thing. If so, hey, Burger King, sponsor us anyway. Let us know if it's a mafia thing. I'll hawk your radioactive mutant horse meat all day, every day.
Yes, sir.
Just give me the money. I'll do it.
Colin, you got any that jumped out to you?
Yeah. Alternatives to Robert Downey Jr. that were considered were Nicolas Cage and Tom Cruise.
Oh.
Which is wild. And Nicolas Cage ended up being another Marvel superhero. Do you know who?
Ghost Rider.
He was Ghost Rider in 2007.
Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah, he was Ghost Rider.
Oh, yeah. And then he was Spider-Man Noir.
Oh, he has been
definitely his best MCU part for
that boy double dipping.
That boy double dipping for sure. Ghost Rider is a bonkers movie. We almost should have done that.
Why didn't we think of that, guys?
Yeah, come on.
This drink fits Ghost Rider way better.
What are we doing?
Sam Elliott's in that. I might have gotten bourbon for that. I don't know.
Oh, fair. Any others that jumped out at you?
I think there was one reference to a ship in the background, which I think was named after. Oh, it was named the Lebowski. It was like the USS Lebowski or something, which is a reference to another Jeff Bridges film, The Big Lebowski.
Nice.
Absolutely
all right.
Dope.
Well, that'll bring us to our real thoughts and opinions. Well, wait. First,
was it a success?
Was it a success?
Box office?
You know what's hilarious? I keep forgetting my own segment that
This is like your deal.
I know.
What are you doing?
I love the box office, and I've been lazy on it.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was.
Let's take some guesses. Yeah, roll the dice. What do we think? Jeremy, was it a success? Can't talk today. Was it a success?
It was a success. Didn't crack $1 billion.
You know,
But
yeah,
it's
no.
good.
Well, not much cracks $1 billion. Friggin'
Exactly.
Avatar movies. Which here's a perfect time in this chaotic episode for me to ask you all: do you think the Avatar movies are part of a giant conspiracy? Because here's my thing: those movies break $1 billion every time they come out. I know like 2 people that have seen the new one, and it's like $1 billion, and I'm like, I don't know anyone who's going to Avatar Fire and Ash. Like, who was going to these movies? It
Look,
feels
I
like
have
a
a
chatbot
theory.
in the theater. I don't know what's going on.
I have a theory about this whole thing. Part of it is inflation. You know, movies are more expensive. You make more money when you know tickets are more expensive. It's crazy. But also, the Avatar films are great one and done kind of movies. So everyone in the everyone's gonna pay to see 1 or 2 and then never watch them again. That's
fair.
yeah.
That's a good theory.
That's why
Well,
James
I also
Cameron
feel
has
like it's a
townhouses
conspiracy.
full of money.
Thank you, Colin. You also think it might be a conspiracy?
I
'Cause, yeah,
also know, I mean, in my case, no one who goes to IMAX at all, let alone sees Avatar.
I don't even know.
I mean,
very
I
many
would
people
go
that
to an IMAX.
I don't know many
But I'd
people.
have to
that
go to
actually
Helena? Is that right?
No, there's one in West Yellowstone,
Oh, West Yellowstone. That's nice.
Yeah. which actually I think is about the same distance. So yeah, pretty much Helena. All right, it was a success. Correct guess, Colin. The budget was $140 million. It made anyone guesses? Domestic,
Want to
not
say
international.
500 million?
Okay. Colin, Price is Right rules. Lower or bust?
400 million.
Okay, if we're going domestic, you both busted. Domestic was 318 million. But if we're going worldwide, Jeremy would have won with 585 million is what it made eventually in the worldwide box office. So it times 5'd its budget basically, which is incredibly impressive. Very big success, but correctly assumed did not break $1 billion, but that was pretty hard and not very much heard of back in the mid 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I mean, this is before Disney Plus or any of that.
That is true.
Mhm.
Well, with
I
all
was
that,
there. I was there, which when it was
do
written.
not quote the dark magic to me, which my actual opinions on Iron Man. I lied through my teeth because I'm with Jeremy. Maybe he lied too. I'm with
Yeah,
his
you don't
argument.
know.
I don't think Obadiah being a dark reflection of Tony really hurts this movie at all. This movie's simple, sure, but it's really well done and executed. And I think the basic beats actually lend to its story a lot more efficiently. I do think Tony is a really good protagonist. He does have a complete arc. I would have watched Iron Man on its own and not had to see any sequels. I'm glad I did because I do think the MCU stayed good for quite some time. But I think to Jeremy's points during his arguments, like the movie's not about Obadiah Stark or any villain. It's about Tony defeating his own ego. It's man versus himself. And the movie does it splendidly. It establishes who he was before, makes him likable enough that you want him to grow, because that's a problem you can get with a lot of man versus himself stories is they're so preoccupied with creating a hateable person at the beginning that they make him so hateable that you're like, I don't want this person to get better. I think this movie balances that well because Tony is doing bad things, but every scene you see him in, he's charismatic and kind of like you don't want to love him as much as you do, but you do. So by the end, when he does make a shift, it's to the audience's happiness. And I really like what they did with is it Pepper? Is that his lady's name? I forget.
Yes, it's Pepper Potts.
Pepper Potts. I like what they did with Pepper Potts. I think like forever in the nerd zeitgeist will be the little framed thing that says Tony's proof that Tony Stark has a heart. I think that's like a really beautiful image that that lasted all the way through Endgame. And I think that story was done super well. So that is my 2 cents. I'm a big fan of Iron Man. I think it kicked off the MCU really well. As a young person when it came out, I was like, I'm in. It hooked me. It was a great first chapter to a longer series that I couldn't put down for quite some time. What do you think, Jeremy?
Oh yeah. Well, I've scarcely been happier to win a role on this show, because yeah, this movie rips, dude. And like, there's so much of it that could have been a lot worse. Like, even a slightly less charming Tony Stark would have ruined the movie. Because like, he's not a great guy for almost all of the whole movie. So like, making a villain that you dislike more than the protagonist in that sense, which is where a lot of these stories, like Travis was saying, do tend to fall flat. That's tough to do. And I think it largely comes down to the charisma of the cast and Jon Favreau being like, yeah, you guys just do it. You can do it. You just do it. I won't write anything. You just do it. And yeah, obviously I love this movie and Marvel stuff. Everyone can see that, unless you're on Spotify. Yes. That was a commemorative poster from Avengers Endgame, the re-release that, sick. That's why it's got all the Infinity Stones. Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. I think it was the perfect way to kick off something that I do still really enjoy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it changed the landscape too, but I'll get more
It
into that.
really did.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Questions of after the break. But Colin, what did you think, man?
I mean, it is like just one of the best films that came out that year or the year before or the year after. Interestingly, do you know the DC movie that came out in the same year?
No, which goes to show how much Iron Man stuck in my brain. Was it
that Man of Steel?
Man of Steel? Superman
Dark Knight.
Returns?
Oh, The Dark Knight.
2008?
Oh shit.
So 2008 was
God,
like
2008 was a great
a
year
bitchin'
for
year.
superheroes.
What a year,
God.
man. That's awesome.
yeah. And I mean, like
Yeah. Damn.
it's just wild because I remember it being a fantastic film when it came out, and now you compare all the other films to it, and most other Marvel films really don't hold up in comparison to like how nuanced the characters are in a realistic way, and not just sort of the main character and the villain, but like all the side characters. The originally who was it? The agent Phil Coulson. So he's just the agent originally in the script, and then it worked so well during the filming that they actually gave him a name and everything else.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically like, if all superhero films were like Iron Man and The Dark Knight, I mean, I'm all on board, all in favor, but they're not.
Yeah.
That's what the letdown was. But having seen what Jon Favreau has done since then, I mean, he's obviously knew what he was doing back then and incredibly accomplished. And that's one of the reasons why it worked so well as a film then, because so much of what he did before that and after has also been so good. So clearly, it depends on who you have as a director and writer and, everything else. And it's interesting, Travis, bringing up the box office, because like when you have these, like back then that mattered, but now I feel like so many production companies are like, well, this is film 1 of 17 that we have planned. So it's like they can have 6 bombs and who cares, because they've put so much money into it, just ready to go, that it
Now,
is
Colin,
weird talking about a
you've said a
film
lot.
needs to be a success.
Yeah. But Colin, you've said a lot about Jon Favreau, so I need to have your opinion right now. What do you think of the Lion King remake?
I know nothing about it.
I have opinions.
Is that the semi-live action one?
Yes,
It's all
directed by
CGI.
Jon Favreau.
Not live action at all. I hated
Oh my
it.
god. I mean,
It's-
I don't want to touch the Disney let's make this realistic.
I
right?
loved
They did
his
it with
version
the
of the-
Beast.
They did. His version of the Jungle Book I loved. I thought the Jungle Book was fantastic, and I think the reason is because there's still a human character that shows emotion. But when it's like all lions and they all have the most realistic faces they can have, it's like turns out lions don't express, and so the like musical numbers just became these weird little like jogging scenes. I
So
was
weird.
I mean, Cats, the musical live action movie, just killed all of that for me. That entire art form just cannot. I'm not here for it. Never gonna watch it. Never gonna watch any film that has that.
Cats
you
kills
like
a
it,
lot.
Jeremy?
Realistic animation.
Are you with
Wait,
me,
what?
Jeremy, on Lion King, or did you like it?
Oh no, it's like a clearly worse version of a very good thing.
Yeah. I think my least favorite, like the biggest example of how bad that movie turned out was the just can't wait to be king scene, because that scene in the original animated movie is so fun and vibrant, and they're like riding on the peacocks and there's colors everywhere and there's like all this magical stuff. In the movie, it's literally just him and Nala like
They're just running around.
running down a straight path and things are like flying around them and they're just like singing. I was like, what is this? Like, what are we
Well,
doing?
they went for a jog, and so did everyone else.
Yeah. And sang a song while jogging. Not nearly the same magic. But I did think it worked with the Jungle Book. I was a big fan of that.
Well, we got a bit sidetracked, but I do want to add that the fascinating thing about actually The Dark Knight and also Iron Man 2008 is that I think that it's this strange combination that somehow succeeded perfectly, where it's so realistically tied to Afghanistan and Iraq and those real wars and like real sort of not real places, but so obviously places that are based on real war zones and real war happenings that were going on at that time. Like, it is a super contemporary film of 2008, but it also had so much humor in it with this silly banter and his having this character who's a warmonger as our main character is completely believable to start with. And I know for like my generation, The Dark Knight and Iron Man were like kind of the way we made sense of these giant military conflicts and culture of sort of war and arms and stuff. It was like a way to talk about that stuff that you didn't really talk about at the time.
Yeah.
And I think it still holds up for that same talking points.
Iron Man 100% still holds up. And I think a couple of them that I maybe didn't enjoy as much as a kid got better, but we will definitely talk about that on the back end of the break. But if anyone has any more initial comments on opinions on Iron Man, we're definitely going to keep this conversation going, but we have bladders or not.
We may or may not have bladders.
Does he pee in the suit? What do you think?
He can, apparently.
Okay.
They say so in Iron Man 2. There's a filtration system in the suit.
Filtration system.
You could drink that water. Okay? You could drink it. You could drink his piss.
Gross. Okay. Well, we will be back in 5 minutes, people. Thanks for joining us when it's just us from the Fermented Fiction crew. Please keep sticking around and comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz. See you in a bit.
We'll be back.
Hello, Fermented Folks. Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the first of our new season, and I believe it's season 4.
The show where we drink beer and argue with each other and bring on really awesome creative guests.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit outside the box. Once upon a time, apparently, people used to sniff mummy remains, powdered mummy remains like cocaine. So I think 3 lines of powdered mummy remains, if you can get to that as well. Yeah, that'll get you right to really enjoy the movie, you know?
Dave told us all about making a mead, and I talk shit about Tom Bombadil, as I am wont to do whenever people bring up Lord of the Rings.
You would. You should.
And then that's
Everybody
exactly what he
freaking
made.
chill about Tom Bombadil, or I'll get unreasonably upset. You know?
So, in your assessment, what did you think of everyone kind of paired off, or at least a number of people did, romantically? How'd you feel about that? Did that seem really forced and dumb to you, or?
Tom Bombadil is a merry old fellow with his bright blue jacket and his boots are yellow. Right?
His boots are yellow.
Right.
Imagine discovering mummy remains and oh my God, these ancient figures. Dude, what if we crushed this and snorted it, yo? I bet we'd get fucked up.
Let's talk for a moment about the fucking all-star cast in this movie. We have Ewan McGregor slaughtering it the entire time, main character energy, top to bottom. You can't argue with it. Women want him, men want him, everybody wants Ewan McGregor. Okay? If you don't agree with that, you're lying to yourself.
Apparently she had a backstory, but they cut it because she's very hard-nosed at the beginning. And then I will say another pro of this movie is their chemistry is hot. And I feel if they didn't have that chemistry, I would have been ugh. Because she says at one point, she's oh, it's the apocalypse. What are we going to do? Fuck. And he's and then later when they are kissing, if they didn't have chemistry and if it was 2 lesser actors, I think it would have been an eye roll, felt cheesy, but you feel their bond.
The Langoliers themselves were originally going to be portrayed by puppets. And I think maybe they should have. Maybe they should have.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's no maybe about that.
And I wish that I could say that there was something greater happening here than the war diary of a broken man living as sort of this White Tower academic with all of his friends sitting inside the Eagle and Child drinking beer and pretending Magic Lion Jesus isn't really silly. Because, it is. If we can just all be very honest with each other.
The Lord's work out there. Good job.
I like to think that I am. Most people aren't big enough, but I am. I'm willing to step up, you know?
Yeah. Dedicate that time.
Settle
You're
twice.
willing to dedicate that time.
The time, the money, all of it.
That was so painful. It's one of those painful things.
Oh, that
I've
was
done in
so
my
good.
life.
That was so good. We've never been so savagely attacked by any author on their show. It's incredible.
Yeah, like and subscribe, everybody.
Comment, and subscribe.
Friggin' do it. What are you doing?
Buddy. Yeah, what are you doing? Well, I don't know what Colin's doing, but he's not back on screen yet. That's okay. We're going to roll on.
He's got a big bladder, that guy.
I'll reintroduce the question to him when he comes back. But Jeremy, I want to know, this is a question I've kind of been dying to ask about really all of the MCU movies. What happened? Did anything happen? There's a question. First, did anything happen? Do you agree with the general consensus of the people that the MCU has kind of taken a bit of a nosedive as of late? And if you do, what is your theory about why?
Now, look, I am maybe a dissenting opinion on this. That being said, I've only seen through the last Captain America movie because at this point, I am now holding off watching until I can watch it with my wife and my sister-in-law, who are also hooked on Marvel movies. But if you were to, so far, and I have said this on the show before, there's only one Marvel movie that I don't want to watch again.
Yeah,
That I wouldn't watch again. And that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, I don't get that, but
look, it's just the vibes are rancid in that movie, and we can move on from there. I get that the problem is that I'm crazy, okay? That's fine. Let's all just be adults and move on. But I think, I get the fatigue that people have with Marvel movies. I get the sort of being over it, because largely, Marvel hasn't realistically changed up their whole formula, and that formula that worked very well initially and for quite a long time. So why would they? They're putting a stress test on it, and without really changing that, people are just going to fall off. That's natural. It's not going to be the groundbreaking, revolutionary thing it was with Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk while he was Edward Norton, and then afterwards. And then Thor and Captain America and all that. It was, that was obviously when the MCU was at its most interesting. Well, that and
new.
I think the Infinity War and Endgame most interesting.
Yeah, and I'd say
most
the
interesting
movies,
MCU.
the movies leading up to those, I feel like the first iteration of all the main cast leading up to the first Avengers was kind of like this. Oh wow, they're gonna do it! This has never been done. It's weird. This is interesting. This is fun. And then they kept succeeding, and I feel like the build up to Infinity War and Endgame was the peak of the hype, where it was oh my word, how they're 23 movies deep, and they've still got legs. This is insane. We'll probably talk about this later, but I will go more into depth about this later, but I want to hear from Colin. I've never had a theater experience like Endgame. Never. It was the best, not even close to one of my favorite movies. I have a lot of critiques of that movie, but as theater going experiences go, that is the greatest time I've ever had in a movie theater. It was crazy.
It's hard to beat an Avengers movie in theaters, specifically a packed theater.
Yeah.
Because that's different. And usually my preferred movie going experience is me alone in the theater on a Wednesday afternoon. Because then there's nobody there, and I can just But the crowd experience at an Avengers release, bro, that's sick.
Colin, the initial question, if you didn't hear it, was, do you think the general populace is correct that MCU has kind of declined in recent years? And if so, why?
I think it's normal life cycles of genres. I mean, especially it's kind of it's going to be against you, because it's not exactly true, but essentially when Iron Man 2008 came out, Beanie Babies were a thing, and then it was the pop bobblehead stuff was going on during Avengers movies, and now we're onto Labubu. So it's a new generation. Everything has changed. You're not going to hold on to everyone that way. The culture has changed. So how are you going to make another superhero movie that somehow grips everyone all over again.
Yeah. I would say maybe I'm the dissenting opinion here. I think a lot of it, you're right, is a natural cycle. But to me, I think you make a good point, Colin. I just kind of add further of like, I think what they've done now I think they're coming back, but what they did for a couple movies there was try a little too hard to like force their hand into like the times specific culture and like not saying any kind of, I know the word woke gets thrown around a lot. I'm not going to use that word, but like they were trying to capture this one tiny little corner of an audience and they forgot about the people they were bringing from 2008 and comic book fans in general, which I don't think is a thing Iron Man does at all. Like it appealed to a 2008 audience with the action, with the cinematography and with the music. And like, it was a very watchable film to every demographic it was trying to target. And I think what happened with now, where I will agree with both of you is I don't think it happened as frequently as people say it did. Like people talk like all of the recent Marvel movies have been trash, but when you look at them, it's not the case. Like Quantumanium, I would say was pretty bad. I didn't like the Marvels. Multiverse of Madness had moments that were great and some moments that were meh. Eternals was pretty rough. But other than that, movie-wise, the MCU's been fine. Like maybe not peak, but fine. Like I really enjoyed Thunderbolts. I had a good time at Fantastic Four. I didn't think they were Iron Man, but they were good. Shang-Chi's a blast. Spider-Man No Way Home is a blast. Like they're still making good movies. Oh, and Brave New World I wasn't very impressed with. But that one specifically, I thought it was like too safe and also trying to capture
it was
like
okay.
Two corner of an audience where it's like you can't play to just, I think to Colin's point, you can't play to just one audience with a superhero film. You have to be aware that you're bringing a lot of people with, or if you do, take a risk, you know, like
do a Black Panther.
Do a Black Panther,
with
be
it.
bold. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to work better. Where I think Marvel has failed is TV. I just don't think they don't have the
that. Yeah,
and it's not like any of the stories are even awful. Some of them I would say are, but even like the ones I enjoyed, I just kind of got bored. Like they just don't seem to have that formula down yet. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are the movies superior to the television series?
I mean, I think that's a pretty safe thing to say. I think the TV, or like the Disney Plus whatevers, they suffer from like pacing issues, almost like those things were greenlit as movies, but then they were like, oh no, actually we're doing 6-hour-long episodes of this. Like, well, that's 3 times the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot of footage, so let's make this work. Okay. But, you know, I think the movies largely, they are still working, you know, outside of my one wild opinion about the movies. Like, I think they all still kind of hit a minimum threshold of watchability where like, yeah, it's a perfectly suitable watchable movie, and I don't even think it's like an issue of like shooting for too specific an audience or anything, because like if we look at Iron Man 1, that is a very specific audience to try to shoot for, but like 0 people cared about Iron Man before that movie came out, so they could just kind of do whatever. And
Listen,
they did.
I watched the animated Spider-Man series in the 90s, and Iron Man was one of the greatest moments in that. And it was such a small part, and I was all about it.
It is crazy that all the movies have taken this character that was like comic book fans loved. No one else knew who the hell he was. And now he's like, you can't. Like Iron Man will forever live in our brain.
Well, I agree with Jeremy. And I do want to like push very hard on the point that like it's easy. So this comes from the comic book world, retcon, where they retroactively change something, and it is done so frequently now of days in just like politics.
Mhm.
And what I want to push on is the idea, like, what is a Marvel movie? Like, who decides it? When does it happen? Because when you have Iron Man 2008, like, yeah, there's a little bit at the end that involves Nick Fury that's tying into something in the future that was planned. But like, when you look back, like, X-Men came out in 2000, and there was also Spider-Man 2002. And then I was like, wasn't there some Marvel stuff on Netflix too? And I'm looking at the list, and there's
It's
Daredevil,
canon now.
Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist,
Daredevil
The
was
Defenders,
The
The Punisher.
Defenders? Are
How many
you
times have they
kidding me?
rebooted The Punisher? And how many of those do we remember as like a Marvel show or movie? It's like, I think Disney is looking at this and like branding what they're calling the Marvel universe and quickly trying to get people to forget about other failed parts of that they're not doing.
I don't think you have to push on that. I think that's been pretty clear. Like, the MCU has always been separate from, like, they don't even recognize, like, until the most recent Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire was technically not part of the MCU.
Yeah, and
but
like
now they've brought
until
that in.
And until the last Deadpool, there was no way to tie in like the Blade films or the Daredevil
X-Men.
with Ben Affleck and Elektra and
Colin Firth.
Colin
Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
He was Bullseye.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'll take Colin Firth in the MCU. I don't really care how.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll end up there. You know he will. Everyone
Yeah,
does.
everybody does. Everybody needs to get paid, okay? I'll be in there one day. I need to get paid.
I think, to my original question, though, there is two things I do think. I think you guys are right. I don't think it's as big of it's a natural progression of things. It's not as big of a moment as people make it out to be. I think people do a lot of what you'll see happen in MMA, mixed martial arts. For people who don't know, I think everyone knows that term now. But
Most
anyway,
people do know,
I want to be polite. Mixed martial arts or boxing, like fighting sports, you'll see someone who's like at the top, and then they lose like 2 fights in a row, and everyone's like, they're done. They're never going to be a fighter again. Like, it's over. And it's like, this guy's like 56-2. Like, calm down.
Like, look, everybody's been saying that Marvel's got no gas left in the tank since before Avengers 2. Okay? Like, and that was over a decade ago now.
I do think, to continue what I was saying, though, I think there is a level to where it's true. And I think, Jeremy, you pointed to fatigue. I think that happened with the TV shows being kind of stacked onto like 2 movies a year. It became this like, oh my word, like, how much of this stuff is it going to be? And I think that got a little old. And I do think they're slowing down now, which is very smart. Like, what did Fantastic Four came out in the summer, right? And now we're not getting something until Doomsday, to my knowledge.
Yeah. I think it's similar to like the lesson they had to learn with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Avengers 2 and Captain America, what was the really good one, Winter Soldier, they like had references to each other, so like if people didn't watch them in exactly the right order as they were airing on TV and coming out in theaters, then they would have huge plot points spoiled for their TV show that they were watching or the movie that they were going to see. And I think they are kind of running into that with the Disney Plus series. We're like, okay, you do have to space this out, guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're only people. We can only experience time at a rate of 1 second per second. and we have to have jobs and shit.
Yeah,
so
and
solve the jobs and shit, or make less stuff.
It was fun to follow the stack up of like the original. I think it was 23, leading up to Endgame, and like everyone was on board. Like everyone was playing the same game. It was the NFL season kind of thing where it's like, yeah, people who care about this have watched all the games and they're ready for the Super Bowl. But then I feel like after Endgame, it kind of it tapered off to where now it's like, oh, to catch up, I need to watch 3 TV shows, 2 movies, and play a video game. Like, is that, or else I'm not going to get this newest movie. Which is,
I mean, that is fully
that's
where I'm at
hyperbole for sure, but yeah,
that's how I feel about the Zack Snyder Justice League. It's like, I want to watch this one, but I need to watch.
You
that
gotta
one.
set aside the time.
Do I watch the pre thing to the other thing, or do I not bother with that? It's just like it's too big.
Too big. So I think
it's a big
that is part
commitment, but like Zack Snyder Justice League,
And it'll change your life, man.
That rips, dude. It's better than the Justice League, okay?
It's better than the Justice League. Okay, now I want to return to our movie of choice in our random episode change.
Mhm.
Iron Man, what did make it work so well? Because we gushed a little bit about it already, but like, yeah, I mean, this is The Dark Knight happens at the same year. We get 2 of the biggest superhero movies of all time here. I mean, I'd just like to gush a little bit about it more. Like, what is it about Iron Man and even some of maybe the original Thor, Captain America, that I think they're really rewatchable? I think I have my reasons, but I'll go last. So, yeah, what made these early MCU movies really click and stay compelling?
Well, I think one thing about it, especially with the early ones, it was something that no one even knew to expect. It's hard to imagine a world before the let's make everything a cinematic universe thing that we've been in for the last decade or so. But like
almost 2 decades.
Yeah, almost 2 now. I mean, God, I'm old, everybody. Oh yeah, it was my birthday yesterday. How's that for second
What?
life?
That
update?
wasn't. There you
Yeah.
go. That should have been
Hey,
your first.
yeah.
Happy birthday.
That's Happy my birthday to all of you.
Happy 47.
Oh, and my wife is telling me that I'm not old.
Okay.
That's true.
I mean, wives have to do that.
They do.
Oh, I know, she's so nice. It's great.
Anyway.
But anyway, so
time.
Time. But anyway, what it is like I think I did totally lose it, but I'm gonna go on anyway. It was unexpected, but also like it laid the groundwork for people who were really paying attention, which is to say the post-credit scene in Iron Man 1, which nobody even knew to stay for until like you knew, but then it like basically immediately followed up on that by having a connecting scene in a movie that came out like I want to say less than a year later with The Incredible Hulk, where Tony Stark shows up and he's like, "Oh, we're putting a team together," and people are like, "Oh my god,
this is
happening."
happening.
And yes, and it's happening, and it was, and I think it's a lot of that. It was building towards something that really of course hadn't been seen before, and then you get to modern Marvel, where a lot of it has been seen before, and the things that haven't been seen before, they kind of got derailed by one actor who was a pretty good actor getting arrested for assault charges. and they kind of had to pivot.
They did have to pivot. I hope the pivot
They-
works for them because that is very unfortunate.
Yeah. It's
Very.
really a shame because he's a good actor, but you can't do crimes.
You
Stop.
can't do crimes. Don't
do crimes.
The crimes. Colin, what is it that made the early Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, those first entries work?
I mean, I think Iron Man is maybe the best. Because first of all, for like Captain America and Spider-Man and all the other ones, they've been done in films multiple times before, whereas Iron Man really hadn't been. And so as a comic book nerd, like, you know, I was stoked to see an Iron Man movie because that hadn't been done before realistically. And the effects on this film are fantastic. And Iron Man, I think more so than other superheroes, needed to be like, you had to have a big budget because you have to make this suit that looks realistic, and he like fires these plasma jets which also have to look realistic, and in the film they just knock it out of the park in terms of him flying around with like F-18s and stuff like that, and getting in a explosion in Afghanistan, and all the, you know, the realistic effects you have to have with that, because also at the end of the day, like, Spider-Man does his thing in Manhattan, easy to film essentially for American production companies. Iron Man, if you really want to do it right, I mean, in this film they went all out. They included the entire, right, I mean, they have like helicopters and US military bases, and I think they have a Hercules giant, you know, one of the biggest planes in the world is part of it in there. So I mean, it just requires a massive budget, which is definitely the, like, you know, they managed to rustle up the money for it, and so they did it in a huge way, and so it had all of that as an advantage. But then in terms of the storyline too, I think that has sticking power as well, because not only are the effects fantastic in the film, but it's done in a way where we're introduced to a billionaire character who I think the majority of people maybe wouldn't think is very approachable, and he's not intentionally, to start the film. And then he undergoes a complete 180 in terms of his own priorities and understandings, and what he's misunderstood in his life is, you know, everyday people, including, you know, Pepper Potts, who clearly likes him, and he has just essentially ignored over the terms of his life, and then requires her very help in order to, I don't know, get her little hand inside his electric heart. And so those scenes are, like, from a writing perspective, all beats that work well together as a character arc and as a storyline, combined with like a movie that is very approachable, because it's a blockbuster film meant to be an adventure movie, and it just does everything well.
And, you know, I just want to touch on one thing Colin said regarding the budget. The military stuff you see didn't really actually affect the budget, because the US military tends to let film crews use their shit as long as the military has, like, the power to say what's okay to show, like, as far as their portrayal and everything like that. So as long as the military's coming across as good guys, they will just lend filmmakers all their shit. That's why you see all this realistic military stuff in the Iron Man films, but then in the Avengers, you have to use like sci-fi technology and whatever, because they're not gonna touch that.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked for him in the past. Like, Top Gun is one of the greatest recruitment videos in the history of the Air Force, or the Marines, the Marine Air.
Yeah, and like, I think it was Full Metal Jacket. I think they had to hunt around for a bunch of shitty military gear because the military did not support it.
Yeah, they did not support that movie.
So they had to get it all themselves. And but I think that's what's genius about the film, is that like Tony Stark goes from a warmongering billionaire industrial complex supporter to the exact opposite. And but it's not necessarily critical of the military itself, just the component of, supporting this whole, mass destruction system for profit, so it does ride the line in a really creative way.
I think it's one of those movies, and you touched on kind of like it hits simple beats, but I think the like little details are really beautifully done. I think one of my favorite parts is just the tiny little scene of when like the truck convoy gets blown up and he's outside of it and he's like doing stuff on his phone and the missile hits next to him and it just says Stark Industries. Like I thought that was such a, even I think what is it, 2026? I can't do math right now. I was in high school and like even then I was like, oh, already set up. It was setting my brain up for like, there's the journey. He's going to realize that he's playing both sides of the war with his missiles, and that's going to make him feel something bad. But I think movies like this from snobby people like me get a bad rap for being too simple, and I sometimes am like, we need more simple. Like not everything can be one battle after another or whatever. We need a lot of like solid films that tell basic stories beautifully well and tell us about people changing or people just becoming better. I will ask, and Jeremy, it seems like you have a thought, but I have a follow-up question of like, do you think this would have worked as a standalone? Like, is Tony's journey complete in one film, or does it rely on, because I think if you look at his arc from Iron Man to Endgame, that's a really complete arc. Like, I loved how they wrapped his character up. Kind of hate that he's coming back in some ways. We'll see if that works, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to like remove all of it from my brain, but like if you can try and think, do you think this movie would have been as satisfactory as it is had it not had any sequels, if this was all we got from Tony Stark?
Well, I think the thing is, and you see this with like long-running TV shows, like the longer something goes on, the more developed characters get, and that's just kind of the way of it. Like I think Iron Man as a standalone is still really good. I think it is also made better by what comes after, because he gets one miniaturized arc, and it's an arc that he basically goes through in like the first 20 minutes of the film, where he's like, hey, I do have to turn my life around. And as soon as he gets back to America, he's like, all right, I'm shutting down the production of weapons because apparently we don't really care who we sell them to. And that's huge. Like that's how his entire fortune has been made. And he's just like, yeah, I'm saying no to all of that to try to make the world a better place. And that's like a miniaturized arc, and then the rest of the film is him dealing with the consequences of that one character arc he had. I think it does get a lot more complete, and he becomes a lot more compelling of a character the longer the MCU went on, where he had appearances in other movies and had more of his own movies and the Avengers movies, to where like by the time he passes away, you're weeping in a cinema because you've been watching this character for so many years, and you're like, yeah, man, you can rest now. It's gonna be okay. But as a standalone, it still does work very well. It's just that more episodes it's additive. It makes the character deeper by default, by what they do on screen and what they choose not to do. You know?
Yeah. Colin?
Yeah.
You agree?
I agree. I mean, I don't think Iron Man 2 was as good as Iron Man 1.
I don't either. I think
Iron Man again.
It's the worst of the original three, in my opinion.
Which
Iron
is
Man
bad
3.
because usually sequels are better in a lot of Hollywood films.
Iron Man 3. Yeah. Empire Strikes Back, Terminator 2, Aliens. You could argue. I don't. I like Alien more, but a lot of people argue. What else we got? Godfather Part 2.
What about
There's a lot of them.
Godfather Part 3?
No. We don't talk about Godfather Part 3.
What about Spider-Man 3?
Well, I was thinking, isn't there an Iron Man 3?
Yeah, I liked
Favreau
it.
did 1 and 2. He didn't do 3.
Iron Man 3 is Iron Man
grew on
3
me.
with Shane Black, and it's pretty good.
3
A
grew
lot
on
of
me.
people don't like it as much.
I originally was not a fan at all. It really grew on me. I think like when I revisited it as an adult, it was like, I don't know. I thought the story was a lot more compelling than I originally thought. I thought the relationship with the kid was cool. I think one of the things I used to say I hated about it was the villain, but I actually liked the villain. I thought he was pretty well done, and I liked the twist of I forget
the
that
Mandarin twist.
Yeah, the Mandarin twist was actually pretty clever, and it was risky, which the MCU wasn't taking very many risks at the time. So yeah,
And then they brought Trevor Slattery back for Shang-Chi.
yeah,
That was great.
My last question for y'all and all of us is sort of all the, I'll limit it to all the MC movies in which Iron Man is one of the primary characters. So that's still a pretty big list, but that takes out like Spider-Man, like or the ones where he just shows up for like 3 seconds. But of all the ones where he's a primary character, which is your favorite?
Well, okay. Which ones are? I mean, that's the Avengers movies.
That'd be the Avengers movies. I'd say probably.
I can
Captain
tell you
America Civil War
Iron Man 1, 2,
is
and
one
3.
of those.
So Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3.
Sure.
Definitely Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America Civil War, Infinity War Endgame. That's it.
That is, yeah, that's those for sure.
So which is your favorite?
Well, I would say this one for sure. Iron Man 1 for sure. Mm-hmm. But we haven't really brought it up yet. And I think one of the lasting features and powers of Iron Man is that in terms of Tony Stark, he is like the nerd, and he is just a nerdy guy, and a lot of comic book fans are nerds themselves, and we like science, and we like technology, and we like people who are inventors and who are socially awkward and strange and weird. And so it makes a lot of sense, and it works that you have a character who invents things and doesn't fully understand the politics of what's going on and social norms and things like that, and still is like the most valuable person in the room at a lot of times because of their technological capability. And so there's features of Iron Man as a character that work really well, that resonate with a lot of people, because we see him, he's not static, right? I mean, Spider-Man, a Venom alien creature shows up, and then he has a different suit for a little bit, and then fights Carnage and things like that. But he's pretty much Spider-Man, whereas Iron Man has a new thing all the time, new suit, new technology, new invention to deal with some invention like the Hulk and the Hulk suit, right? Mm-hmm. And so that keeps it fresh and interesting, and repeats the process of something new that he's doing constantly, rather than Like Captain America, he's Captain America. He does his thing, and that's about it.
I will say I don't know the comics well, so I can't speak to those. But Tony Stark never in any of these movies strikes me as socially awkward. Like he's
No,
an,
he has
he's an
just a
incredibly
tremendous-
charismatic man.
just so much confidence.
Like he's definitely
Off
the
the
geek. You're right. He's a nerd. But like the one that I always thought was the socially awkward nerd character was the Hulk, who like can't really approach society, even though he's a super genius. But yeah, I don't know. Tony Stark always struck me
I guess
as like he walks into every room and he's like, "I'm here."
But
bitch."
like Captain America, is a leader. Maybe what I mean is that like leadership qualities. Like Tony Stark isn't. He's not a Captain America. He's not a guy who puts the team together and everybody looks to for the next thing in situation. He's the guy who like comes up with the solution that the leader needs to put the team together and solve the problem with action. But like usually him and the Hulk are the ones who are like putting their brain power together to make the thing that's needed for the solution.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But out of all that, you've told us why you relate to him in some ways. But what's your favorite movie of the bunch?
What's the best Iron Man out of all the Iron Mans?
Well, I mean, definitely Iron Man.
Oh, you said this one.
The first
Sorry.
one.
You did. Yeah, you did answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeremy, did you have one?
Well, see, I think I would go kind of the opposite direction because appreciating Iron Man in his, like, the thing to appreciate about him is that he is in a constant state of, like, learning from the mistakes of his past appearances. So that's why, like, in Iron Man 1, you see him, like, sort of, like, it's an upgrade from the Mark 1 suit that he escaped from the cave in to like the Mark 2 and then the Mark 3 by the end of the film. And then in Iron Man 2, he realizes you can see that he's learned that okay, this whole suit thing can't really work if I'm not at home when I need to start being a superhero. So he's got the whole briefcase thing, and that kind of works. And he realizes, okay, that's not great. So in the Avengers, he like makes a suit that can find him, but he realizes, hey, that's not great if it finds me too late while I'm falling out of a building. That's not cool. So Iron Man 3, he's got a suit that all the pieces can come to him independently, so he can be a little more capable at the time. And it's just that little stuff, building movie to movie, appearance to appearance, to the point where in Endgame, he's got like this new chest piece that is only there aesthetically because he fixed the issue with his heart in Iron Man 3, if we all remember, which we all obviously do. And that's just a housing for nanobots so that he can just create whatever he needs. And then from there to Endgame, he switches from fully nanobot protecting himself to like energy shields and stuff because you can run out of nanobots. He found that out fighting Thanos the first time. And so I will say my favorite Iron Man appearance is Avengers Endgame because it is the culmination of everything, not only what he's learned technologically, but also like character-wise. Because initially, like Captain America calls him out in the first Avengers movies, like he's not the guy to like lay down on the wire so that his friends can crawl over him. But that's exactly what he does in Avengers Endgame. He takes the hit so that everyone else can have their happy ending.
Yeah.
And that's great.
I'm weirdly right and smack dab in the middle of you two with Civil War. I think Civil War is just one of my favorite MCU movies. I know it has a lot of plot stuff that's a little rushed, but like overall, I love when the MCU does a different genre just with an MCU skin on, and like the political thriller MCU movie was so good. It was just like this. It was like watching what's that? Now I'm gonna forget it. Anyway, there's a Leonardo DiCaprio political thriller movie I'm trying to think of. I think it's Leo. It doesn't matter. It was like watching a really, really well done secret agent film, but with a bunch of Marvel characters. And I enjoyed that. And I think it's one of my favorite iterations of Iron Man, because they successfully created a new conflict for him, which was really, I thought, going to be hard to pull off, of which they planted the seeds in Avengers with the vision that he has of all his friends dead. But like when he does pretty much resolve his like arc of the ego by Iron Man 3 pretty well. And then the new problem is that he can't save everyone. Like he's got this burden of conscience that's like, I have to build the phrase in Ultron, a suit around the world. And I thought the Sokovia Accords was a really good like introduction of that theme. I thought it caused great conflict with Captain America. And not to deviate too far from Iron Man, but one of my favorite characters in all of the MCU will always be Bucky Barnes, even though he keeps getting shafted. Every time I think he's going to be a main character, they're like, nah. Bucky doesn't get his time in the light. And I love the scene at the end of Civil War when they're fighting and when they're about to fight, and Tony has just learned that Bucky killed his mom. And it's just such a good delivery from both him and the actor that plays Bucky Barnes is Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan, yes.
Yeah, from great performances from both Sebastian Stan and Robert Downey Jr. when he's like, it doesn't matter, he killed my mom. And like Bucky just gets ready. He's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm ready to face the noise. I just love that about the Winter Soldier, where he's like this kind of moody guy who's just like, yeah, I suck. Like, why don't you just let me die, Steve? Like, I'm really sick of this. And I thought that was a great conclusion to a lot of arcs that I really enjoyed. So Civil War, definitely my favorite Iron Man appearance. But I think, Collins, you both have great points. Endgame's fantastic, and the first Iron Man was just something that had never been seen before.
And I mean, Civil War is it's easily the best versus superhero movie that we've got so far. Because, it's not easy to convincingly take a main protagonist and make him the villain of the movie. And they do that really well with Iron Man. It helps demonstrate the every strength is also kind of a weakness thing.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we could have our audience suffer for another 30 minutes with just the three of us, but we can spare them without a guest, and maybe let's rate this thing. Which our rating system on the show is completely arbitrary and meaningless. It is how many drinks does it take for you to fully enjoy Iron Man, the 2008 version, to its fullest. We'll start with you, Colin.
Jeremy, did you say he drinks something in the movie?
Let's see. In the movie, we see him drink martinis, sake, and maybe also whiskey. It's hard to say. I haven't actually watched this movie in a long time.
I know, yeah.
But those are the two.
I know.
Sure.
I know Robert Downey Jr. drinks a whiskey in one of the films. I don't know if it's this one, but those are good. I would say get some. Get 3 drinks, ideally.
Oh wait, there's also champagne.
I mean, you could copy the drinks that he has, certainly if there's 3 or 4 in the film. Otherwise, I say, maybe like 3 old fashions for this film.
Okay.
Would be solid. One, I feel like when he gets hit by the IUD, and that's a good time to take your first drink, whether it's a shot or just sipping on your whiskey. And then second one halfway through, and the third for the grand finale, main character versus villain, Obadiah Stane, which is just a great name. At the end, that's all you need. Great night.
Oh, yeah.
Who's not going to love that?
I don't know. In fact, I think here's my proposal. You wait to rewatch this until everyone I think has been here. If you drink alcohol, where you have maybe half a bottle of your favorite liquor left, a couple like stray beers from the last party you hosted, and maybe some kind of mixed drink that like you put in the fridge after you couldn't finish it one night. Wait until you got that box of scraps hanging around, and then you pull that thing out, you put it on the side table, and at whatever pace you want, you finish off your box of scraps. God. You got to wait to finish off the last one until the very end, and you raise a glass for Obadiah Stane and Jeff Bridges' line delivery that has lived now forever in our brains. I just heard it quoted in a D&D game where someone was playing an artificer and like perfectly timed the quote of, we like insulted his like Tin Man suit that he made. He's like, I made this with a box of scraps in a cave. We were like, yeah, that's great. So that's my tribute. Drink a tribute to the box of scraps in the cave. With whatever the hell is left in your refrigerator or pantry.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, we all got a box of scraps. And hopefully, with my rating, I can help you empty that box of scraps.
Oh boy.
Kind of like how Christmas did. I found myself totally
I'm giving you
Christmas.
giving you the spotlight for this.
All right. So hey, here's what you want, right? You want, first of all, I'd say pick your drink of choice. Again, there's martinis, there's sake, there's champagne in the movie, maybe whiskey, although that could be a different other movie. But hey, do what you feel. And now, obviously, you're going to drink whenever something absolutely sick happens. It happens a lot in this movie, so just be prepared for that. You'll want at least one drink for that. And because it's Marvel, you'll want to have a drink whenever a quip just really lands for you. They do that a lot in this movie too. But because it's also, Marvel still, do it whenever a quip, do two whenever a quip just fully falls flat for you. Not going to happen very much in this movie, but this is going to set you up for success in later Marvel movies, okay? You will not be awake by the end, and you'll have to, rewatch it with some soup.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
You will be a box of scraps by the end of Jeremy's
God willing.
game. God willing, and the creek don't rise, as my grandpa would say. Great. That has been a show. Thank you for joining us, the usual goons. Before you leave, you can always do us a favor. You don't have to. We will gladly do this stuff for free. But if you're feeling generous in the new year, head on over to Patreon. We have a lot of tiers from $5 all the way up to $30. $5 is going to get you some really cool stuff, exclusive articles from both us and Meathead Media, as well as invitation to the Discord, where I'm going to be running Travis's Pretentious Book Club and a couple other things. Got a lot of people
push
in
up
there.
real glasses for that?
No, I couldn't. I don't have real glasses because my eyesight is perfect. Thank you, Jeremy. Sorry. But we got a lot of good chats going on there. We already have some people over in the Discord. It's a fun place to hang out. and we'll get more going when we get more people. $30 will get you such cool things as invitations to a writer's retreat, books from your favorite authors, the opportunity to come on to an episode and talk to one of your favorite authors. And in between that, at just $15, you can ask your favorite author a question on the show. We will read it out for you and get an answer from some of the people that you really love reading. So all of that is over at Patreon at Fermented Fiction. Please be a pal. Check us out.
And of course, if you donate any money to our Patreon and then you find me in the world, I will fully kiss you on the mouth. Just right on there.
We're trying to get people to come to the Patreon. Jeremy.
If you want.
If you want. Consensually, Jeremy will give you a smooch. Jeremy will give you a smooch.
You are allowed, not required.
There we go.
And I think your wife Clay said if you donate at the $30+ tier, he'll let you take a free shot at him. So first blow, free. Show him what you got.
I might have heard that as well.
Waist up.
It's a rumor.
Probably.
It's the rumor.
Definitely waist up. Definitely waist up.
Yeah, for if you donate $100 to us, we might just consider breaking our no AI rule and making an AI clone of Clayton that can just be on the show all the time. But all that's a Patreon. So
yeah, it's a Patreon.
Well, not all of it.
There.
We don't support AI.
We can get there.
It's just a joke. But please head over. Please show us support. If not, keep watching, like and subscribe. We love everybody that comes and checks out our videos. With all that, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We've been Travis, Jeremy, and Colin, and this is Fermented Fiction. Goodbye.
Later.